Hey everybody, it's Travis here, Kidwell Construction. Finishing up working on a septic system here the past few days, last week some, and I thought I'd do a quick, go over how to install a septic, regular class 1 septic that is, using the infiltrator chambers. What we're actually doing in a small campground in here for a customer of ours. So it's a pretty good size area, as you can see. But so we got our drops up there. Of course, we left them high till they got to do water, electric, and all that. Then we're going to put stone and all that. Then we'll cut them off later. But let's walk down over the hill here. I put the septic tank down over the hill because I just knew that if I would have set the tank up here on the level, I guarantee somebody in a big old motorhome RV would back right over it and probably crush the lid or something like that. So we put the tank down here. So this is a 1,000-gallon concrete tank. And of course, most of here in West Virginia, we're always on sloped ground. But the size of this tank, it's a 5 foot tall, 5 foot wide, and about 7-8 feet long. So I always dig my hole 6 by 6 by 9, 6 feet deep, where I can get at least a foot of cover over the shallowest point. It's actually about 8 feet back here in the back deep, just because it's in a bank, and that gives me plenty of room to work around it and everything. Now, one thing I always want to point out: these tanks have a baffle made inside of them, but what you got to make sure is when you're plumbing and hooking your pipe up that your Schedule 40 don't get shoved up against the baffle there, because that would prevent it from working. That baffle keeps the solids from going into your outlet pipe and then into your drain field. So just always keep that in mind. So we come out, of course we got no problem with fall on this particular job. We had to run. I didn't want to take down them big old oak tree and those there, so we ran about 30 foot of Schedule 40 down here. But typically from the tank to your chamber where it goes in, you want to have about 2 inches of fall minimum. Now, a little something extra I always do when I put my Schedule 40 in these chamber ends is you run you about a 2-inch stainless steel screw down in there just to lock it in for backfill purposes and so forth. So these are the 36-inch quick 4 chambers. I've got 3 60-foot lines of this stuff put in here. Now, typically what you want to do is get these, I like about 24 to 28 inches of depth. That keeps you in your good range of soil. Now, the way you do that, the way I do it, is I'll start out on the end where I'm going to start, and I'll check my grade there, and I'll check it, and I'll just try to find the same point. For example, if I'm reading 5 foot 5 out there, I just walk and find 5 foot 5 everywhere on the ground, all the way out to the end. I'm just following the contour of the ground. So everywhere it's like 5 foot 5 on my grade rod, I'll just put a paint mark about every 10, 15 feet, something like that, and that marks the contour. And then you can set your grade, and you're going to have the same overall depth then basically through your septic system. So you come in there. Now, some folks use distribution boxes. I personally don't. I like the crossover system just because it's simpler and it works the same. So here's a crossover example. This is our first line here. We're coming out, out of that first line, and you want to drop down there again. You'd like to have a little bit of fall, but if you are on totally level ground, you can certainly, just connect them straight across as long as they're not running uphill. Now, in these chambers, you want to dig your ditch pretty much exactly 30. The reason you want to dig them 36 inches wide is because that's pretty much the exact width of the chambers. If you were to dig your ditch wider than that, and then when you backfilled it, that chamber would have a tendency to flatten out. So it needs the side support of your native soil in the sides of your ditch to help support when it gets backfilled. It can't push out. It's wedged in there in the ditch like that. It can't push out and flatten out. So 36 inches, you don't want to go wider than that. Again, on the crossover here, same thing. You know, put you a screw in there. Now the way I do it is when we get it set for the length of pipe, we just measure from end to end and then just add 4 inches. You know, that's how you know. I get about 2 inches of pipe, then about 2 inches in each end on the crossover. The best way to hook these pipes up too, and when you're putting these crossovers together, is to put it in, have someone on the upper end or shovel some dirt on the back side. So, but you want to push it in your top one first, hold it, and then basically what I do is I just pick this chamber end up off the chamber. We pick the pipe up, then I just shove it onto the pipe and then set it back down on the chamber, and that works pretty much flawlessly. So that's that. So we already got this one inspected and everything. Sometimes, like I say, I throw dirt on them. We're not allowed to totally backfill them before the inspector looks at it, but we're allowed to throw dirt on it, and then we carry the chamber. It gives a little bridge to cross when you are carrying the chambers down to your lower lines. So here's the last line. It don't have anything on it, so you can kind of see what the whole thing looks like down through here. Now I'll backfill this primarily. I usually use my CTL for backfilling purposes most of the time. So there again, you can see what we're doing with. So you want them to be 3 foot wide, 24 to 28, 30 inches deep. You know, that's about the depth that I like. Now one more small point, I'll make this in, you can see it better. So when you dig your crossovers with your machine, you want to be careful not to dig too deep coming out, heading down to your lower line. You want to leave, as you can see there, you want to leave this native soil right about the level where the pipe, where your outlet is. They say, in theory, if you dig that native soil out there, that can let this upper line, because you're going to have to put fill back under your pipe then, if you over dig it. So some sanitarians have told me that they've seen where the sewage water leaked through the fill dirt underneath the pipe because it was overdug, and actually this line, whichever line that happened to, actually stopped working because all the effluent from this line was just flowing down through the crossover and filling the third line, and this one really wasn't working. So you got your outlet. It's about 8 inches from the bottom of your chamber up is 8 inches. So that's about what you want to keep that, and that's good anyway, because then you got your pipe sitting right on solid ground all the way across and going down into your lower one. So leave that native soil right there at the level of the outlet coming out. That's pretty important from what I'm told. I've always done it that way, so I've never had a problem to have to go back on. So I'm sure if any of you's got some questions, I probably missed something, but you know, the main thing is follow the contour of your ground on every line. You know, they got to be minimum 6 feet apart. You want to keep 6 feet of virgin soil between each line, unless you're doing a bed system, which is totally different than what we're doing here. But when you're doing the lines, 6 feet apart, 3 feet wide. You can go up to 36 inches deep, but I typically don't, because your better soil is in that 24 to 28 inch range usually. From what I find, that's your better dirt. That's the depth that you do your perk test at anyway. So yes. So any questions, comments, whatever, let me know if I missed something. Follow the contour. Keep it all even depth the best you can, and it all goes pretty good. So thanks for watching.